Hi, and thank you for tuning into the podcast. Today, our guest is Ogechi Aguma, who is an engineer, but in his free time, he blogs about investing in stocks and shares. He has a website called Shares and Investment Lifestyle Platform where he coaches and mentors people about how to invest, particularly young people that are new to investment. On his website, he has written interesting articles such as how to start young in stocks and know more about lifetime ISA. And one very interesting one that I like is think like a farmer, the mindset to keep your investment growing and sustainable. Today we're going to talk about financial resilience, and this is something, investing in stocks and shares, something that not very many people are into. So hopefully we would get lots of valuable information about how to invest. Ogechi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Usually we start with a question that involves getting to know you. So could you tell us more about who Ogechi is and what motivated you into going into investment?
Okay, who's Ogechi actually? So for me, as an individual growing up, background, a bit of it that I kicked off in Nigeria, of course, as a baby. So my background and history kicked off in Nigeria, and when I graduated from uni, and I went to UST, in this case, University of Science and Technology, River State. And I was thinking about what next to do with myself. My first degree was in civil engineering. Then I thought that I heard they used to send a lot of people abroad for training, and they sent them to a town called Aberdeen. It's my first time of hearing of it. And I thought to myself, okay, why sit back and wait for me to get hired by a company and send me there? Can I go there myself and get the training? So thankfully, I sought for scholarships and I was able to get one, um, 4 out of 5, which was really good for me. And then afterwards, a job and stayed back. And yeah, the rest is where I am today. So that's been my background. So, with regards to investing, what actually drove me into this was my dad had said to me when I was then in uni. He said that a lot of his friends had invested in stocks and shares at the time when he was also a young man and pushing himself. And he had told them, what's all this stocks thing? Forget it. There's no point. It's a waste of time and everything. But in his later years, he said to me that there was a particular family, his friend, and the company had paid for them to go on holiday. And the guy had grown so much in his stocks and shares and within the company and his specific company and is doing exceedingly well. So I said, we should go ahead and get this thing going. Or let's get into stocks. So we tried at the time, bought a few stocks, some stocks, then companies in Nigeria. And we just decided to hold them. But I think, because the economy of Nigeria is a bit sometimes turbulent, it can be. And we held on to them. Later on, we sold them. And then that was history. So when I now in the UK, living my life, I think I should get into stocks because what my father said was end game of this thing looks good. So let me explore and find out what it's all about. So which I did. And yes, exploring stocks, there was a guy in my company and he was into investing stocks. And I think he was from somewhere in Asia, but working for the company at the time. And then one of my friends had known I was interested in stocks and decided to link me up with this Asian guy. And I thought, okay, I'd like to meet with my Asian colleague and find out what it's all about. So he introduced me to investing and said, oh, wow, he's been investing since he was 16. And at the time, this was in 2016 when I got his info. And he said he'd been buying Amazon then, Microsoft then. He saves up like, say, £2,000 in a certain number of months and then he'll put it into stocks and invest then. And at the time in 2016, his portfolio was already worth £300,000.
Wow.
And it's grown, of course, over time. So I thought, wow, that's incredible, as in how disciplined he's been since he was 16. I wasn't sure what motivated him to doing that. I'm guessing his parents or his own exploration of life itself. And it thought, so I thought, okay, this is brilliant. If he can keep doing that and he got that amount, I think I could do that with what I'm earning and hopefully we get it. So I started, and IG was a brilliant platform to use, and it was easy to understand. And he used it, so he introduced me to it, so I used it as well. And then I thought I could. This is brilliant information here because, and then Microsoft, a famous company we know, of course, now every day everybody uses it as well, was $33. And as you can imagine now, it's $400 for shares as we speak now. I'm not sure what the current number exactly is, but it's roughly about $400 now. So you can imagine his portfolio if he didn't sell and if he kept on buying from 2006 to now. He's incredibly in the regions of some millions, I would imagine, because he had Amazon then. And Amazon at the time was maybe, if I'm not mistaken, under maybe in the hundreds. And I know Amazon got to 4,000 before they did the stock split. So I can imagine how that has progressed. So yeah, so knowing that info, I thought this would be good to also share. It's not worth keeping this to yourself. You really need to get people to know this, And yeah, so
which we
that's
will
where,
come to. No,
yeah,
I'm just
so
trying
yeah.
to slow you, which we will come to that. We'll come
Yeah,
to that.
so that's me and
Yeah.
my actual motivation for
Okay. So I would
investing.
say a huge part of it was based on your dad's influence.
Yes, he was quite inspirational. My dad was someone who was a disciplinarian. Also, he was a principal, and climbed up to the ranks, being the state director for schools boards. So but he's not really an investor. But he always gives neat bits, like, for instance, what do you want to do with yourself in your future? I said I loved, for instance, buildings and stuff. So he said, okay, why not be a civil engineer? So what does that mean? And that steered my whole career into civil engineering because I loved buildings.
Okay.
So like investing as well, he just comes up and says, oh, this is what's going on. So he just drops these little seeds, and then you just pick it up and you grow it. It's not like somebody who hammers on you, bang, bang, bang. He just drops this little seed and you run with it. So yes, it was inspiration.
Okay. Now that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. So you got into investment. Your dad was influential towards that. But what I have seen is your passion. I know you wanted to run it, but I'm bringing you back because we're going to get to it. I've seen your passion for wanting to share your knowledge, share what you know about investing to your community. But for the purpose of some people that do not really understand what investment is, how would you begin to explain? Because you've already gone a bit into details like OIG, split stock, and some of those technicalities.
Thinking, what's that all about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's just, pull back a bit and
Okay.
be a bit basic for people that don't, because I want to assume that there are more people not investing than there are those that are actually doing it.
True.
So basically, what is investing when you're investing in stocks and shares? What's that all about? And what are the benefits?
Okay. First is I like to take it back and make it a little bit more simpler than that, actually.
Okay.
So let's strip it back to. So I was thinking about this a while, and I was like, how best is it to explain investing to someone, and investing in a general sense, because you need a seed. So I said best to strip it back to a farmer's mindset, and this made it more get a bit more clarity to what investing is all about. So as a farmer, if you think a bit as a farmer, so let's go back in time when we had no paper and ink. Okay, so you finish working, like you do your job, and they give you a basket of fruits. And I share this a lot with a lot of my colleagues because everything is about the mindset. When you understand the mindset, it drives your entire course. So I said, okay, think about it this way: you get a basket of fruits as your job settlement for your work done at the end of the month. So you get mangoes in there, you have oranges, you have apples, and it's this basket of fruit. Well done for your service. Here you go. So I said, when you take that home, what are you going to do with it? If you want to be wealthy, if you want to have more fruits, if you want to have more for your family and more to give out, what do you do with the basket of fruits? So would you call friends over Hand out all the apples, mangoes, make some nice juice, squash, whatever you want to do, and down it all. And hope next month you get the same basket of fruit, which you will get if you have a contract, of course, with your employer. And I said, if you carry on doing that, how are you really going to be wealthy? What do you think you need to do to become wealthy or become more sustainable? What are you going to do? So, what do you need to do? If every in the way God has created everything around us, in every seed are more seeds. Okay. So what do? You plant it. It's common sense, It's not. So will you get friends around and give them all away? No, because you don't give your seed out. So you take these seeds and you plant them. So after you eat them, you put the seed in the ground. So when you get more of these mangoes now, which probably takes a bit of 1 or 2 years to develop and germinate and then give you the fruit. If you want to become wealthy, then you need to plant more mangoes and more oranges, isn't it? So what do? You look for people who, for instance, the back garden first. Of course, that should be all full of your fruits and your seeds growing. When you get the seeds, you're looking for your neighbors who like mangoes, isn't it? So you ask them for their land. You give them mangoes, you get their land. You get more seed, you plant on the land. And if you repeat that cycle for the next 5 to 6 years, you'll be having tons of mangoes. So now what do you do with all these mangoes? If you want to get more mangoes, you can then go into either supplying mangoes to Tesco's or going to orange production. And that's the whole big picture. But if you come down to nitty-gritty of it, it takes time for you to get a mango tree to get mango fruits. It takes time for you to get enough to say you want to start supplying to someone else. It also takes time for you to be able to get that into even give to others and still have the tree going. So time is now your big factor. So again, you can't get a mango tree today if you plant it today. You need to have started planting it early. So if you extrapolate it quite a lot more, the human mind is capable of doing a lot of things. You would realize that if you think like a farmer, it balances everything. But the challenge now is that we have converted a monthly basket of fruits into paper and ink. So you go to work and they transfer these numbers to you at the end of the month. And there are a lot of people that want to get those numbers from you, the council tax, your bills, your friends, your family. And then if you go to the cash machine to get it out, it comes out in paper and ink. So people forget that those are seeds. And they just go for a party, it's gone. You go for a meal, it's gone. So you're just giving away seeds. At the end of the month, you have nothing left. But if you can just erase the mindset of paper and ink and think of them as seeds, then it drives your motivation. And stocks and shares is just one of the ways you can actually plant these seeds. So if that gives you a bit of a balanced mindset, and then that drives you on how long you're going to have to wait for it to grow. You have pesticides, pests to attack them. You have weather conditions. There could be a war that erupts in your area that could affect your farming. So many things could go wrong, but provided you have the mindset, it drives you keep going. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell.
A very beautiful illustration, really. I like that. A farmer's mindset.
Yes.
And it's good you have taken your time to explain it, because that would be one of the reasons people don't go into investing in stocks and shares, because they're always looking at the negative, what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And the time factor is really not there.
Yeah.
People want to put in money and see it
instantly,
yes. See the profit instantly. So thank you for explaining that. And I guess that was why you developed the website Shares and Investment platform, which I have been to, and I've told you before, I'm going to say it again, that is very rich. So for the viewers, what I'll do is I'm going to put the link to the website at the end, of this episode, so that people could access those materials. So you've put up a lot of content there, and I know you've done, coaching as well, and you've mentored people. What has been your challenge so far in terms of educating people on the need to invest and how to invest?
Yeah, the challenge has always been um, people not doing anything about it is always a challenge. And they, some people, there's always a complaint about there's no money. There's a complaint about maybe they don't have enough to. But what I said, no, I said the thing is the mindset. If you don't have the mindset, you have the challenge. And one of the other challenges again, it's the initiation of it. People don't even understand how much they make and how much they spend. So I have a spreadsheet which I could easily share, which I call it ins and out. So you must know how much money is coming in every month, and you must know how much money you're spending every month. Mm-hmm. And again, thankfully, we are in a system here in the UK where most things are like fixed, although the price of everything is going up with inflation, but they're kind of fixed. So where you know your council tax will be X, your bills will be X, electricity, gas, the standard regulars, your car, whatever it is you have, you know, all these are like fixed every month. And most times they're fixed for 2 year cycle, 1 year cycle, or 5 year cycle. You know what your mortgage is, so you know how much money you're supposed to have left at the end of the month. And if you assign something to yourself for your monthly spending, whatever you want to buy yourself a dress, whatever you want to put, to just fix that every month, £200, £100, whatever you want to do, depends on your income. You should have some savings. Now, if you don't have any savings, it means you need to adjust your expenses or adjust your income. Mm-hmm. So either you improve your job style or get a better job or more training to improve your income, so that reflects at the bottom of your account to give you your savings. So with that, you're able to start. So the challenge is, it's like watching a football match and we're not sure who's going to win the title, the championship. All right. But you don't follow the games. You don't track the games. You don't know the best players. You don't know what. So even if you don't have money, at least watch the game. So in this case, investing, I mean, if you don't have money to invest, at least follow the companies. And you start with something very simple. What is it that you in the house that you know? You know, Microsoft, for instance, everybody knows Microsoft. You know, Apple, the devices are everywhere. Coca-Cola, for instance, we drink that everywhere. It's all the shops, sneaker bars and all that. Who owns that? Just do some research. In Google, it's all free info, honestly. Mm-hmm. So just checking that and then knowing what to do and then track it and follow it. People don't want to do that. So it's a little bit sometimes demotivating when you see that there's a potential here and there is no, people are not even tracking, even if you don't have the money to. And I think now technology has gone a bit more, to say we can do fractional shares. So where you can buy £100 worth of Microsoft shares, even if one is 400, you can get a part of it. And for shares itself, what it simply means is if you can't bake the whole cake, at least you can get a slice of it. And the slice of it could be to the smallest portion. You can get at least a piece of the cake. So I can't get all of Microsoft. I can't bake all of Microsoft. It's starting coming from scratch. The company is worth trillions of dollars in market cap. But I can get a slice of it. And as I do well, mine does well. My piece goes well. So this has always been the challenge for me, is people actually not doing anything about it.
Can you explain the concept of buying part of the company? So invest in a company, just a bit, more detail, so that, like I said, I believe some people wouldn't be aware of it. Okay. So what does it take for you to, when you say invest or buy shares and stock, what are you actually doing? When you're buying the shares or buying the stock.
You're buying, what you're doing. So you're actually being part of the company. You're buying a part of the company, basically. Mm-hmm. So like I said, if you have your seeds from work, and now in this case it's money or numbers, as it were. And of course, Apple shares have a specific number for one of it. So when you buy Apple shares, you're investing in the company. So Apple shares currently are 168, 100 plus 70 something dollars per share. Mm-hmm. So when you invest, say you buy one share of Apple, it means you become a shareholder in the company. Okay. And so it's more like you've planted your seed in Apple. And if Apple gets a new device, which is likely going to be launching in September, at the moment they've just released a new iPad. they're also likely going to be releasing probably some new products in September with the AI coming up in play and all that, and how well they're able to put AI into monetary terms and also put that in their products. That ultimately means that the share price of Apple is likely to go up. And if that happens, your one seed, I call it one seed in this sense because it's a share you put in, is likely to grow.
Yeah.
And the ones that grows, you are part of it. So you are part of the growth of Apple. And Apple has also done a stock split because it's the $160+ now. That was not what they were 5 years ago. They had grown significantly, but they've done a stock split, and now you're trading at that. I think the stock split had brought them to $125 per
So
stock.
with the stock split, you're able to buy their shares at a more affordable price. That it?
Yeah, so stock splits are company strategies in ways that so if a company's stock is 400, like for instance, Amazon was about getting close to $4,000 per share. So as you can imagine, if you want to buy an Amazon stock at $4,000, you need to be a certain class of earner to be able to afford to get one shares of Amazon. And again, if you're also trying to liquidate it as well, if you're liquidating 10 stocks of Amazon, that's significant. And for some people, they don't want to liquidate the amount of stocks just yet. They want to go into a bit smaller fractions of it. But when you do a stock split, it makes it a lot easier and affordable for you to have more investors in, especially in the low earners or medium to even high earners. And again, liquidating the stocks is better. Plus, you get more volume of stocks out there in the market. So if your product does well, people are scrambling more for it because it's available now for everyone. So that's the benefits of stock splitting, and reduces the price. So from the $2,000, $4,000+ Amazon's were before, you drop it down to be like $200 as an example. Then it means that one share of Amazon now is $200. So you can now easily afford that. So that's what the stock split is. There's also a reverse split, where companies that are really baby companies growing and they're already registered in the NASDAQ or registered in the US exchanges are quite small. So they'll say they're trading at 50 cents. But then to meet some of the criteria of some of these, especially when the stock starts to drop even further, to meet some of the criteria of getting into most of these exchanges, you need to up your game. So if you had 10 million shares out there, you can do a reverse split where you could have 4 shares becoming 1. So if you're $50, 50 cents per share, you're now $2 per stock, but it just reduces your volume of shares out in the market. And then that becomes like the company is doing well, but not necessarily. You just only the reverse split. So that happens as well in the market.
I'm smiling because you know so much. The way you're speaking, you know so much. It's obvious that you know so much about this topic. You even know the current prices of some of the companies like you mentioned, Amazon, Microsoft, and a few others. Thank you very much. But I think you've gone a bit into some technicalities, which it's good so that people would could reach out to you to ask further questions. But the thing is, so you're saying investing in stocks and shares, and someone listening might say, "Oh yeah, I hear what you're saying, but there's risk." Obviously, some people have had people that have done this and have lost a lot of money. I know there's also the confusion investing and trading, which I want you to please give us that, because I try to tell people that there's a different. People are scared, and of course I understand, but they are trading, not investing. So could you explain the difference?
Trading and investing. Okay. Trading, I will always say, usually it's basically when you buy shares or stocks, you're actually trading. When you that is the general terminology of it. But then when you now come into the stocks world and you say you are trading a stock, trading the price of a stock, so it means that you're basically working on you're tracking the price and you're placing almost like a bet on the price of the stock. So for instance, let's take it at the flat level. So Apple is $100 per share. I hope it doesn't go to that. But it's $100 per share. And you decide that if you want to be, let's say you're trading. So I'm speaking of a trading now. You decide, okay, $100 per share. Now you say Apple is going to go up to $120. Okay. So in the trading world, you choose a direction. And this direction you choose is a buy direction or a sell direction. So a buy direction means it's going to go up. A sell direction means it's going to go down. Okay, so you choose a direction you want, and then you choose a size. The size is almost like a rate. So the rate being, if you say $1 per share and $2 per share per point, this time now it's per point. So if Apple is $100 in the real world of investing, in the trading world, they say just put the dot, two decimal places. So take the dot off. So you're now down to 10,000 points. Okay, so this is the trading world. So if Apple goes from $100 to $101, in the trading world, it's 100 points because 101 is 10100.
Yeah.
So it's 100 points. And for the investing world, it's just $1 up. Okay. So in the trading world, if you say, assuming let's take a trade. So I'm going in and I'm positive about Apple. Apple's going to go up. So I go in. Apple is $100. I believe Apple would go up in price. So I put a buy position. Other words we say long, which means you believe it will go up.
Yeah.
Click on that on the platforms, and then I choose a size. I could say $1 per point, which means if it goes in my favor, the platform will pay me $1 per point. Yeah. If it goes against me, I will pay them that amount. So this is the game for trading, or if you call it trying to make profits for your investors or for yourself. So if you then place the trade and you click on buy, you click go. So it kicks off. And then as Apple goes up to $120, okay, for you now, you've made almost 2,000 points to 120. If say Apple goes up to 102, you've made 200 points. So it's 200 points, assuming you selected a size of $2 per point.
Yeah.
It's 200 times 2, which is $400. And if you close the trade, the platform pays you $400. Yeah. But if it goes, say Apple decides to go to $99 or $98, which is not against your direction, you lose the same by $400. So that's what trading is. Okay. So I always advise people to stay away from trading, especially for new beginners investing. You really need to know what you're doing because it could be influenced by anything. China could release that they've banned Apple phones for some very strange reasons or due to political interference. And Apple shares could just drop significantly. But if you're going with the normal metrics of the company is doing well, they've just increased their dividend to paying their shareholders. New products are coming up. AI, everybody's bullish in the market. So it's bullish means it's optimism that it's going to go up. So, that's the upward trend. And all of a sudden, there's this release in China, and their main production line or manufacturer is in China, and then everything crashes. So if you had that set for a go, you're definitely coming down and you're losing a lot of money. And when you lose that money, it's lost for the life of the cash. That seed is gone and it's not coming back to you. So I always advise people to stay on the investing side, own the stocks, because if Apple goes to 98 or drops even to 70 because of all these influences, and that is resolved. Imagine if you bought them at 70. That's like buying it at a discount, basically. And if it's resolved back to 125, you've made huge profit. I remember if you invest in something when it was $100 and it drops to 50, if you buy it at 50 and it goes back to 100, you've made 100% profit. It's sometimes a math that seems so simple, but people miss the mark. Because if you bought a lot at $100, so you bought 1,000 at $100, 1,000 units at $100, and you buy 1,000 units at $50, if they go back to the 100, you've doubled your earnings incredibly. So this is the difference between trading and investing. So I like people to stick to the investing side and leave the trading side.
I think in summary, what I would say from what you have explained, in summary, trading is more of like a daily thing, and I would say they're both sort of gambling, but for trading, it's daily. You need to be knowledgeable of whatever you're doing on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and it has a higher risk.
Yes, it does.
But on the other hand, investing is long term.
Yes.
Okay, it's kind of a gambling because you don't know what's going to happen to the company in a couple of years, but it's less. I think I would say the risk is less,
Yes.
and it's a long term thing. And like the illustration you use, the farmer, so it's you planting and hoping that it would germinate, it would
Yes,
grow.
exactly. And at least you own the seed you're planting. But
Okay.
with trading,
Trading.
it's like someone comes into your compound where you have this farmland and says, okay, he believes that this farm is going to produce 1,000 corn on a cob or something like that. It's going to produce 1,000 of them. So he says, okay, you know what? I will place a trade here and say, for every corn that comes out here, pay me this amount. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what the guy is doing. For every corn that comes out, pay me this amount. If this doesn't come out, then I will pay you this amount. And then
You
walks
don't
away.
own
And
it.
you don't own it. And all of a sudden there's a wind or storm and all those corns are gone. Instantly the guy owes me. He has to pay now. And that is what he's doing. But he has no seed in the ground at
No
all.
ownership.
Yeah, no ownership of it at all. But if he comes in and buys a certain portion of that corn land and says, I want all this corn for me, here's the amount. Okay, so even if there's a storm or wind or whatever, provided he has that portion of land, that land belongs to him. So
Yeah.
rain come, rain, sunshine or not, he gets that land.
Yes.
Yes, it's yours. It
And you
belongs
have
to him.
you could make decisions. You have a better decision making. What
Yeah, so you can
capability
decide to
over
sell
that.
it,
Yeah.
you can decide to keep it, you can decide to add more to it if more up for sale.
Okay. I want to ask you a kind of personal deep question. I want you to be honest. You've been doing this for quite a while, maybe 4, 5, 6 years. Have you lost money, Ogechi?
Yeah, I mean, since 2016
You've lost
to
money.
now,
Yeah.
I have because, of course, as you know, we've had various cycles of events, including a black where in the markets you have what they call black swans, and these black swans happen. I think is it one every 10 years from what has been researched. If I might be wrong on that, but yes.
That
So
when the pandemic, right?
yes,
When the
during
pandemic
COVID.
happened.
So this does happen at least once in every 10 to 15 years. You have these black swans come out, and COVID was one of them. So when that happens, everything does crash. And this is the risk, of course, you have. Even businesses that are solid, like properties, hotels, and if you're so much in debt and that happens, of course, you're going to lose a lot of money. So yes, that happens once in a cycle. So between 2016 and, of course, now, we've been through quite a lot of cycles. You've been a cycle with the with COVID 2000 and yeah, COVID was one of the big ones because 4 years from 2016 to 2020, 2019 was the COVID time, and you've had the Ukraine and Russia war, now having Israel and the rest of all the issues going on around the world. Inflation has come into play, so it's got a lot of ups and downs. But what matters the most, like I say, is gaining the experience. Experience it's and then tracking it, seeing what's going on in the market. And the world's richest people today are all based on the paper investment. It's all based on stocks and shares.
Because
Elon
I was
Musk
going
is
to ask a question.
yeah.
So I was going to, well, make a statement and find out how you respond to that. So I was going to say, okay, you've lost money. Thank you. You've been honest. You've lost money while investing. And I believe there will be people out there. Now I'm looking at both the older generation and younger generation. Why wouldn't I just keep my money in the bank? I know it is safe there where I'm not going to lose money and at least generate some small interest.
income,
Yeah, that is coming in. How would you respond to that?
No, well, it's I think in life everything is a risk, especially when you are living in like in the UK, especially. You go up, you take a mortgage, for instance, to get a house based on your job and your income. But there's nothing to say that that job is guaranteed for life. You may lose the job. What happens to the mortgage? You lose the house. But you then take the risk that even if I lose that job, I may get another job to keep supporting that mortgage. So, but then you wouldn't sit back and say, I wouldn't get a property if you could choose to, even renting as well. You could be renting, but if you lose your job, don't pay your rent, you have to move. So in life, generally, there are risks. So, but in investing, you keep it in the bank, that's fine. But in the bank, you get, I don't know, 0.0 something percent on interest, and which is very, very poor. But if you're able to invest in a good company that is thriving, like as an example, Coca-Cola is in almost every shop,
Yeah.
everywhere around the world, and it's simple. You buy it. You know, when I say this investing thing is like Warren Buffett, one of my main mentors, he said it's you don't need a university degree. It's basically secondary school knowledge, really. And really, if you combine that with the farmer's mindset, you're just putting seeds in the ground. You will definitely have not all of them germinate. You have some would not, but if you do your research properly, the land you're planting in is there going to be is the land good? If you do a soil test, if you do your research, you would realize that okay, this is a good place to invest. Is the sun is the land south facing or not? If it's south facing, it means you get sun, all time round. Is it what kind of seeds can I plant here? Will it really grow? The weather, the region. So you do all those checks before you put your seed in the ground. So even though I say you can plant at your backyard, you need to know what you can actually plant in your backyard. You know, so you could trade your mango seeds for what you can plant in your backyard. If you're somewhere to sell your mango seeds to get what you can plant in your backyard, that puts a bit of wisdom into it. So you need to be sure of what you or where you're actually investing. Like those people who, like we mentioned earlier, and have invested and have lost money, so they are scared. I always say, look at the hem of affairs. So who are the guys at the top of the country you're investing in? What's the rule of law there? How well does the rule of law apply?
That's a good point.
So
Yeah.
for me, like in Nigeria, it's a good place to invest because you get a lot of growth companies coming up. Like if you have the in thing like cellular phone, if you have in thing of like network providers and you're able to launch it first in the country, it booms quite quickly. But in terms of long-term investing, how sustainable that is depends on the leadership.
Yeah. Okay.
And if the leaders are not getting their acts together, then it becomes a problem because that trickles down to everything else. If companies are paying high taxes, it means they'll lay off staff. If they're getting a lot of penalties and a lot of unconducive atmosphere to operate, ultimately affects the economy or the shares of the company, and then that trickles down.
Yeah.
So if you have like in America, for instance, or in the US or Europe generally, um, I'm not saying that Nigeria or other African countries don't do their best to try, but again, that's why we have developed and developing countries.
Developing countries.
So if you develop places where there's accountability to a reasonable extent, not that they don't have fraud or anything like that going on here, but some level of accountability.
Yeah.
Somebody can't just turn up with £1 million. You need to find out where did the money come from, there's traceability to some extent. If you invest in a country like that, you're definitely a company wouldn't just close down. It does happen, but there's some kind of explanation and there's some fight to get the money back. So even if you lose money, it wouldn't, like I know in Nigeria, a lot of people complained at the time that there was a lot of bank issues, a lot of people lost a lot of money in banks investing, but there was a lot of things sprung up without proper regulation, no proper control. And when anything hypes like that without control, it's a problem. But in Europe, imagine Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrencies, there was a lot of hype, but there was still a lot of control.
Absolutely.
So that things don't just spiral out of hand. So wherever you invest, you need to make sure you check the hem of affairs. If you're investing in China, if you're investing in Russia, if you're investing in Germany, wherever you invest, you just always need to make sure you check the hem of affairs. Politically, is it stable?
Yeah.
Like if you're investing in your land, you need to be sure this land is owned by you. Not tomorrow someone else will just come and claim the place and there's nothing you can do about it. No police, no investigation, no help, and the land is claimed. So all you put in the ground is gone. But if you know there's some level of security, then it enhances your decision, makes your decision a bit more.
Yeah. Thank you for taking your time to explain that. So based on what you've said, if we are going to relate it to resilience building, being financially resilient, I would say it depends on, like you said, the political climate of wherever you're situated, the country, and your early explanation. I think I would also add your risk appetite, because truly not everybody can afford to or have such risk appetite to gamble or to to put their money into something that they have a little control over compared to like if it's your work or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
you have more
Definitely get that
control over
guaranteed coming
that.
in,
Yeah.
yes.
So it also depends on your risk appetite.
Yeah.
What else do you think? So if you're advising someone on the benefit of investing in stocks and shares
Yes.
and trying to relate it to being financially resilient,
Yes.
what else can you say or share
Okay.
in that regard?
Yeah, it's if you take it back again to the farmer's mindset, okay. So you have X coming in as a fruits or basket every month. You have two children, you have a wife, and you need to ensure that, of course, what's coming in they can eat and are comfortable with, and there's some food or reserve a little bit. And of course, like I said, all these things do have seeds. So you need to plant the seeds and not throw them away. So if you relate it to the life in terms of now, it's a bit more, slightly more difficult because now it's paper and ink. So how do you relate that to what I just said? So you first need to have your ins and your outs. So you need to know if you're making £2,000 a month, as an example, and you're spending 2 grand every month. It means you have nothing to invest because you're basically spending everything you have. So it means you need to adjust your lifestyle to see if it is possible. Say you have £100 left. So what I'm saying is that your risk appetite is very crucial.
Yeah.
But you're working with what you have left over
After your expenditures.
After your expenditures, and your expenditures, like I said, should not, if you think about it, should not all be given out. Because you're giving to your mortgage, the bank gets that. If you give it to your bills, the council gets that.
So what do you keep for yourself?
So what is left for you? Because you're basically giving everything out.
Yeah.
And then you now have, in our Nigerian context, like yourself, Nigerian, myself, Nigerian, even though we're now British as it were. But you have the context of family to help families and to support families.
Yeah.
And I always say to people that we talk about the risks involved, but you're not also considering the fact that the mindset is still wrong. Now, let me explain. And this always also perturbs me a lot too. Someone just started working, the first year in work, and everybody in the family is happy. Congratulations. But at the same time, everybody now puts up their demand from you. But I said, if this guy is earning this basket of fruits and comes home, feeds his family and gives all this out to the external family, and I mean including your parents, you have nothing left. But if you repeat this cycle every year, you have nothing. You'll be broke, basically. But if you're able to restrict what you give, and there's a difference between stingy, especially for us or those who are Christians as well. You feel guilty, they're supposed to help your parents, you're supposed to give to them. But I say, think about the longevity of your giving. So if you want to do that, you would not initially give out everything like a farmer, everything you have. If you want to have to give, you need to tell them you just started. And it takes time for this thing to grow. So if you have 10 mangoes, as an example, you keep 8 to put it back in the ground. And the 2, you try and divvy it up everybody and say, this is what we have left.
8 back in the ground?
Yes.
Oh, really? Is that the ratio?
Not necessarily. But what I'm trying to say is the more you put in the ground early on, the easier it is for you tomorrow. So I was listening to TD Jakes one time, and he says the issue sometimes we have is that we forget to throw our blessings forward. You forget to throw your blessings forward. So everybody's most time is keen on today, spending today, satisfying everybody's need today, and they forget to throw their blessings forward.
Forward, ahead, yeah.
Yes, so nobody's doing that. It's very difficult. But what I'm saying is if you are able to cut back and put 8 in the ground, I mean, when I mean 8 is metaphorically speaking, is trying to be more stingy or how do I put it? to that, and that's relative to everyone.
Yeah.
To how much you can.
I was about to ask.
Yeah,
Can
no,
it be the other way around? 20 and then you share
I'm saying
it. I mean,
two and
you
eight.
share
Yeah,
it.
I'm just saying. I'm stretching it a little bit
Because
here.
people have different, I mean, level of responsibilities.
It's different. Exactly. So I'm saying it's relative to. So you can adjust that bar.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that adjust the bar not to your very comfortable.
Okay.
That's the metaphorically speaking.
Okay.
That's like 8-2.
Okay.
You're giving 2 and you're planting 2 out. But what I mean by that, adjust that volume really tight, so that you can put that 2 into sharing, and you also manage the expectations of everyone, because that is what you're telling them. That's what you're having. But if you're giving them 50%, that's the expectation they will have as well, because they'll think, oh, so there's a lot.
Managing expectations.
You're also managing expectations as well. So you give them that little, and you plant the rest. Now, conscience-wise, you feel you're being bad, and that plagues a lot of people. Cultural, everything, yeah. But the truth is that if you decide that all that is for you in the long run, that's the real being stingy and wicked. But if you decide that I'm doing this so in the future I could give you more, so just be patient. So you do that, give the 2, 5, 6, depends on how you fraction it out. But then tighten it a bit, so that you give that to satisfy while you plant the rest. And it's 5 years to get maybe mangoes, I don't know, oranges, how long it takes to get. When you have this tree, you plant again, you have more tree. Now, in 6 to 7 years, God willing, your parents are still alive, your siblings or whatever are still there with you, relatives. In 6, 7 years, which is not too far away, you'll be able to pluck some from your tree and give a basket.
Give more.
Yeah. But it takes time.
Yeah.
It's not instant, yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It does. It takes time. But thank you for taking your time to, first of all, to come all the way. You drove 6 hours. And that tells a lot that you are really passionate about this and always wanting to share the knowledge you have gathered. So how do people reach you? Because I wouldn't be surprised if there will be questions coming in and people wanting to contact you. What would be the best way? Is it through your website or is it through LinkedIn?
Yes, so you can get me on my website. It's www.sharesinvestmentls.com. And the name,
I'll put it in the...
Yes, and as its name is shares and investment is a lifestyle. So you can reach me on it. You can ping me messages on my email, which is ogechi.aguma@sharesinvestmentlifestyle.com. That don't be scared of it. It's very, very simple. It's not difficult at all. If you're able to have some money kept aside after you've sorted out all your bills, which I said, if I also give you the link to the spreadsheet, know your ins and your out. Once you do that, you have some savings. Build up some kind of reserve cash for the rainy day. Usually people say 6 times your monthly salary or 5 times your monthly salary. Try and build up some resilience. You may not necessarily not build that resilience yet, especially if your job is good, you have some income and all that. What's left, try. Just, even if you invest little into Microsoft, Apple, the names you know of, companies you are aware of, that's what it is. And it's very easy. It's open a platform. There are lots of platforms to open up to do and invest in it. And just, it's a matter of clicking and buying. It's more complex. I mean, Facebook is more complex to navigate than actually those investing platforms, really. Because it's just like a shopping list. Like shopping for shoes. You scroll, you find the one you want, the company you want. Go on the back end and read. If you check my videos, you'll see where you can read up on how to check for companies, what to look for. And these informations are almost all free. Yeah. And then you just click on what you want and buy.
Yeah. No, you're doing a great job, and that's why I invited you, because what you're doing, you're not charging anyone. Really.
No, everything
you're
I'm
giving out information
completely free.
So thank you very much for your contribution in building resilience, in some way, and trying to help.
I'm happy I'm able to help.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would put your website, your email address, all in the description link below so that people can contact you. Thank you, and that's what we have for you today. See you in the next episode. Bye.